Okay, so here, let me break that down then, okay? So this is where I love traditional Chinese medicine. So when our when our bedroom romance is not happening, that sexual desire is depleted. We look further into poor circulation. Hello, heart channel. What is happening? Because I guarantee you, and the reason why mood and energy were also, fatigue were interjected into today is because they're correlated. We need mitochondria. We need energy to do our things, to feel motivated, to feel better. And we also want to look at the kidney, the blood, and the lung deficiencies. So that's why we use your pictures. We see where the markers are, do that face mapping.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of your acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director in the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie so we can dive deep into your acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence. So Chris, we're going a little bit outside of our usual acne chat today because with it being International Women's Day on Friday, I really wanted to talk about one of the most important, a very important topic to me, and that is empowering women and overcoming dismissal in healthcare. And now before we get into this, I actually want to read you off one of our company's core values. So at every single all team meeting that we have with our incredible team, which is 99% women, we read off our company manifesto at every team meeting, which includes our mission statement and our core values. So we can really be reminding ourselves and the women that work with us why we are here doing the things that we are doing. Why are we giving our blood, sweat, and tears to this day in and day out? And, in our community, doing this podcast, doing our programming, whatever it may be. And our very first core value in our company is empowerment through education. So I want to read this for you today to really set up the chat today. So at KSW, empowerment through education is more than just a core value. It's our commitment to our clients and our community. We believe in equipping every individual with comprehensive knowledge about their health and understanding of how their bodies function and the tools to manage their well-being confidently. Our approach is centered around providing in-depth, accessible education that enables individuals to make informed decisions about their health. This ensures that they're not solely dependent on medical professionals, but empowered to play an active role in their health journey. By fostering this level of understanding and self-efficiency, we aim to equip our clients and community with the necessary knowledge to lead healthier, more fulfilled lives. This is something we read off to our team every single month because it is so incredibly important to me that women feel empowered in their own health and they're not just dependent on what they're being told from their doctor. And when Chris and I were writing our rundown for this, so we write down talking points, we don't script it. I was actually getting quite irritated and angry.
No.
Listing out this, because I included some studies and some stats, and it just infuriates me to no end that still in 2024, this is still an issue that women are not being taken seriously in their health. I have experienced it dozens and dozens of times myself. Chris has experienced it. Our clients come in and I'm getting so wound up because it is so infuriating to me that women are still struggling to feel seen and heard in this realm. So if I get a little angry, remember I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you, everybody.
Have you drank your matcha today?
I have had my matcha.
Okay, so we're safe.
I should have tripled up on my CBD oil this morning as well because this is a topic I'm really, really passionate about. So you might feel my passion coming through. So like I said, this Friday is International Women's Day, March 8th, 2024. And the theme this year is Invest in Women in Accelerating Progress. And I love this because investing back into women is something, it's another core personal value of mine, right? I really want to give a shout out to our entire team of coaches, yourself, Paige, all the female owned businesses we work with, because I actively seek out female owned businesses to work with, whether it's our graphic designers, whether it's our lawyers, whatever it's our mentorships, because when you're able to invest back into women, this gives big shifts. So I from the bottom of my heart want to thank our entire team and the female owned businesses we work with, because you make this dream of mine a reality, and I could not do it without every single one of you. And something that gives me so much pride and so much joy, and I'm trying not to cry, and I don't cry easy, is that of course I want to be able to help women across the world clear up their acne and feel better, but I also really wanted to be able to create a company where I could empower the women that work for me and with me to be able to pay their own way in life, to be able to support their families, to be able to pay their own bills and not have to rely on anybody else. Because, coming from my background of leaving a domestic violence home, I saw how difficult it was for my mom to leave. Sorry, I'm starting not to cry. So being able to empower women with that is so, so incredible to me. So Chris, I'm going to let you take over this so I can regroup, because I didn't really expect to get emotional on the podcast today.
Also, for the male counterparts that work with us, they also have the same philosophies, the culture, the mission. So we really, and if you knew us personally, and I mean, other than thinking we're totally kooky sometimes, because we're pretty fun, you would see that culture, you would see that community, you would see how much we invest into one another, the up level of the training, and why we do that, because we are only as strong as our weakest link. So why have I been hanging with Katie for 4 years, other than she gives me free skincare that I don't apply? It's because from the moment we met, our missions aligned. So, and I tell everybody, every client that comes into my contact, I've been here for 4 years. Why? Because our culture and our missions align, because we want to drive education. We want to drive holistic concepts. We want to ensure that we are giving everybody the ability to advocate for their own health, as well as being part of the process. Mm-hmm. Not a here, take this. Rather, how does that sound? What do you feel? How is this going to impact you as a whole? What does it do to your family? What are the thoughts around that? Are you supported? So now that Katie's recovered, I'm going to let her do, I'm pretty sure she has a little more.
I'm semi-recovered, you guys, semi-recovered. Like I said, I don't cry easy. So I get really worked up about these things, because having female empowerment is so incredibly important to one of the core values for us. And I absolutely hate when I have women in my DMs saying they've been dismissed by their healthcare provider. I hate that has happened to them. I hate when I have clients saying, I have spent a decade, 2 decades struggling with these and nobody's taken me seriously. I want every single woman to feel seen and heard with what they're dealing with. Because if you are feeling less than, you are struggling with mental health, you're feeling tired, you're in chronic pain, you're having period problems, you're dealing with sleep issues, you're having acne, whatever that those symptoms may be for you, you do not have to live like this. Our bodies are designed to thrive, and our society has made feeling like crap so normal, when it's not. If you are feeling like crap, it's common, absolutely, but it's not normal to be feeling like this. And when the issue is when we go to a medical provider saying, hey, this is what's happening, we're getting dismissed left, right, and center. Chronic pain and period problems and mental health issues, they get dismissed for women all of the time. And I'm going to get into some stats in a second, but actually, let's get into the stats now, and then we can talk about how we can be our own health advocate. So today we're going to be going through, again, like I said, some stats that's going to anger the crap out of you guys. I'm going to try not to swear real hard. We're going to talk about how you can be your own health advocate, how you can overcome that dismissal. And then we're also actually going to go into some of those symptoms that you go to your doctor, that you're met with dismissal, and what you should be doing. Because we want to be, again, empowering you through education. That is our goal here. So let's go into some stats here on how women get dismissed all of the time. So I'm going to read these off because I don't want to get them wrong. Now, there was a study done by the Kaiser Family Foundation in 2022. And almost 50% of young women had reported negative health experiences from their healthcare practitioners. And I was getting these stats. These stats have been broken down in a Forbes article from February 2023. So if you type in almost 50% of young women report Forbes 2023, you'll get this article. So here's the study. Among more than 5,000 women aged 18 to 64 who participated in the 2022 KFF Women's Health Survey, 29% of those who had seen a healthcare provider in the past 2 years said their doctor had dismissed their concerns. 1 in 5, which is 19%, said their doctor assumed something about them without asking, and 15% said that their provider didn't believe them altogether. Even worse, again, this is direct from Forbes, even worse, 13% said that their healthcare provider had suggested they were personally to blame for their health problems they were experiencing. Last one, nearly 1 in 10, or 9%, reported experiencing discrimination based on their age, gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, or other personal characteristics. This study is from 2022. This is not from the 80s. This is not from the 70s. This study is from the last 2 years. These issues are still happening in women's healthcare. It is infuriating that women are being dismissed, not believed, told it's in their head, and even blamed for these health issues. That is completely unacceptable on so many different levels that it enrages me to my core.
Or when they're told, Katie, that they're defiant when they ask for other options or lifestyle changes, and combative,
Belittled.
and discharged as a patient. And I truly value, like, I'm here because our core values align. However, when you're physically told it's all in your head, go exercise, something's wrong with the system.
Yeah, like we've been on calls, and whether it's a group call, one-on-one, in our DM support in the Clear Skin Solution, and clients are saying, my doctor belittled me, my doctor spoke down to me, my doctor basically called me stupid for asking these questions, or just wanting a second opinion, or like, it's so horrendous that women are now scared to bring anything to their medical practitioner because they don't want to be belittled. They don't want to be called stupid. They don't want to be made to feel stupid. And I do want to preface this and say, I know there is a lovely group of medical practitioners out there that are not like that. So if you are a medical practitioner or one who is not like that, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because there needs to be more medical practitioners out there that are taking women seriously and that are not dismissing, that are digging into their symptoms. So thank you for that. Unfortunately, there is a very large group of medical practitioners that do dismiss, that do belittle. And that needs to change, because every woman deserves to feel seen and heard. So let's
talk about. We're not
about
talking little. We're talking every coach inside the Clear Skin Solution has this comment, on their intake when they first come in, or in their DMs every week. We talk about them. This is how we get our information. This is how we up level. This is how we guide them into the differences between natural, holistic, preventative measures, because that's the word, preventative. Prevention is where we want to be. We don't want to be reactionary. We don't want to be pushers, right? So in the Western philosophies, this is how they're trained. So as holistic nutritionists, we want to reform the system. Mm-hmm. We don't want to fault the person that believes in the system that they were educated through.
Absolutely. And I can't even count how many times I've been dismissed for issues. Like, I've dealt with chronic pain for 20 years of my life. Too many doctors have basically been like, there's nothing I can do for you. You're here, take medication. Oh, maybe it's in your head. Last year I had gone to the ER because I was experiencing really severe pain. And at first I thought it was a hernia. It ended up not being that, but the doctor said to me, the ER doctor said to me, I don't have a solution for you because I don't know what's wrong. And she left the room. And I was like, so angry, because had I, not had the knowledge and education and access to practitioners that I do have, I would feel completely just gutted. Like, I came to you, the doctor, the professional, for help, and you just walked out of the room and gave me nothing. No follow-up, no try this, no that, and just left. And I like, it was just, once again, it was so infuriating for me to do that. Or another time I had gone and I was dealing with an ulcer. I was dealing with an ulcer, an H. pylori infection. My doctor sends me to the specialist. The GI specialist said, "You're too young to have an ulcer, so I'm not going to scope you. Have a great day." And I left. And again, had I not had the access to alternative practitioners, I would have been screwed and in severe pain. So I said, "You want to know what? I don't need your scope. I'm going to go and deal with it myself." And I was able to resolve it myself with the help of my naturopath. So let's talk about how you can be your own health advocate. First of all, I want you to remember that the relationship you have with your medical practitioner is a partnership. It is a partnership. It's a two-way street. This is not paternalism. And if you're not sure what that paternalism is, that's someone that makes all of the decisions for somebody they have authority over and doesn't allow them to make their own decision. You
Like
have
a parent and child.
you have a partnership with your medical practitioner that
Mhm.
is a two-way street. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to say, "Okay, you're recommending that medication. What side effects does it have? Is there another option? Is there a dietary component that I could be looking at? How long should I be taking that for?" Like, you want to be actively asking those things. All of the questions you want. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. This is about you and your health. The recommendations your doctor is giving to you doesn't affect them. It affects you. It affects you on a day-to-day basis. So you can,
And
again,
if that's uneasy, go with kindness. Just say, "Oh my gosh, I'm a big geek. I do this. I'm a big geek. Can I understand more? Can I understand what this antibiotic you're prescribing is to treat?" Because no word of a lie, it's often, well, we're not really sure if you have a bacterial infection, but we just want to be safe. Like, let those flags wave for you before you make that decision, right?
another one we often see with our clients is refusal for blood labs. Like, how
Oh,
many times have you listening gone to your doctor and there's been something off and you're like, "Could you just run a blood lab?" They say, "No, no, you don't need that."
why would I run a thyroid lab? Because your family doesn't have a history of thyroid disease.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon,
Which,
and what?
so if that ever happens to you, something that we recommend our clients is ask your doctor to note that on their chart. Note it on the chart that you're refusing to give me this blood lab. And 9 times out of 10, you'll see their tune change real quick because, God forbid, they note that down that they refuse this and something happened to you later on. So, really
Mhm.
being able to not be afraid to push back a little bit because, again, this is about your health and how you feel on a day in and day out basis. And remember,
How
you
many
can,
people listening right now are so uncomfortable with this because
yeah,
it's that white coat theory, like that white
the
coat
white coat.
mannerism and the white coat theory, right? Where it's like, they hold authoritarian levels, right? It's the paternalism, it's the you follow suit, it's the pecking order. We don't challenge the systems. And please, we're not asking you to go in there guns a blazing. Kill them with kindness. Use it to up level your teachings, your learnings. Create a relationship so that that doctor also feels they are part of that partnership. They want you part of the partnership, right? So please just don't go in there and say, "Listen to this podcast. Chris and Katie said," don't do
Again,
that.
don't want the hate mail. Remember, you can always ask for a second opinion. You could
Mm-hmm.
ask your doctor to refer you to a specialist. You can go and find another doctor. You could try a walk-in clinic. Again, that's an option here in Canada. The medical system's a little bit different in the US. You can find a new doctor, find a new medical doctor, a new physician's assistant, new nurse practitioner, whoever you see, because if they are combating you and they're not listening to you, it's okay to go and find somebody else, and you should go find somebody else. This is where you could also consider adding a naturopathic doctor, a functional medicine doctor to your care team. Like, Chris and I, we're holistic nutritionists, but I also have a naturopathic doctor and a functional medicine doctor that I can refer to outside and be a part of that care team. So that allows me to get a second opinion. I have a medical doctor, but if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting the answers that I want, I'm going to be going to my naturopath. I utilize my functional medicine doctor the most now. Really, not being afraid to go and find that second opinion for yourself. And then the last one is going to be educating yourself. Just you being here listening to this podcast is you educating yourself, you giving yourself another way of looking at things and realizing that it doesn't always have to be medication, that it doesn't, always have to be I'm just stuck with taking this prescription. There are other options. There's preventative things. You can be focusing on your diet, looking at your lifestyle, reducing your stress, getting movement. There are other things that you can be doing, and educating yourself is so empowering.
This is just irritating.
I know. I'm irritated. I'm not happy about this talk, but it's an important one to have. These are the talks that are so important to have, because if we just accept this and we let the medical system continue this way, nothing's going to shift. There needs to be shift in our healthcare. There needs to be more education. And I know in the medical setting for schooling, right? Their education, things are beginning to change. And when we also are part of that change, the shift can happen quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We just have a congested Western system, period. Right? We have, it's funny because this, a client said, is this a custom protocol you created? We're like, absolutely. And they're like, well, how does it differentiate between something else you give somebody? And I thought it was neat because I don't take it as are you challenging what I'm saying? I'm like, ooh, I love to see this.
Chris loves these questions.
I do. I really do. I don't take offense, because when you go to the doctor and you sit down and you have diabetes, for example, you're going to get like metformin. You're going to get Ozempic. Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Don't get me started. I talked about this with my girlfriends at our retreat we're at recently.
I can't. I got to breathe in through the nose. We won't bring that up. That's like birth control.
Sorry.
Okay. But however, it's neat because they're asking and they're challenging the way they've been thinking. That's how I look at it. They're challenging the way they've been taught and they're thinking.
They're keeping an open mind.
And wanting to know if what I'm doing is customized for the same people that have spent a decade with the white coat syndrome, just taking stuff, not saying, is this the same as everybody else? And right? It's because that's the delineation. That's the expectation between the two worlds. So please bring us your questions, because we want to love and nurture the heck out of that.
Love questions. That's and we always tell our clients, if we've just cleared your acne, then we failed you at the end of your time with us. And I recently was chatting with a client, and she was saying, and she even said those words back to me, Katie, I know you always say, if you just cleared our acne, you failed us. And I can honestly say that you have given us, like you and your team have given me so much knowledge that I never would have had before. I have, like, she has now life skills that she can take with her for the rest of her life, because she is empowered in her own health, and she's able to teach that to her children, to her husband, to her family members, to her friends, because it's that ripple effect. When one person gets empowered, that ripple effect, because they start to empower others.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the prevention equals sustainability. And that is truly what we're saying. When you read our core values and our statements and our missions, that's what we're saying. We want to give you a preventative pathway for your sustainability.
100%. So now, Chris, I want to go through some common symptoms that women get dismissed in healthcare about, what's actually going on, and how they can start fixing these issues. So, number one, acid reflux. This is a big one. Okay.
So everything we're going to talk today about, I've been using our team meetings to pool the collective, the repetitive issues, the commonalities, because what is common doesn't mean it is right. Mm-hmm. It means it's common.
And I also want to note that these symptoms that we're going through are some of the most common symptoms we see in conjunction with our acne sufferers. So it's almost never just acne. There's almost always a secondary or even like a dozen different symptoms that a client is struggling with. So we're going to be going through some of the most common ones.
All right, so let's do acid reflux. Very sexy, right?
So can we first start with what the Western medicine does and then say what really is going on?
Okay, fine.
Or were you going to do it the other way?
Go the good. No, it's okay.
I go bad, good, but you were going to go good, bad. I'm always bad news first.
Yeah, actually, that's how you deliver it, isn't it? Oh, yeah, that's no, I'm cool either way. So I'll go with Western medicine.
Okay.
However, just to give you a prelude of what acid reflux is, it's almost that regurgitation. It's where the stomach, and where the stomach is where the rib cage splits. So please, if you're also like, oh, I got a stomach ache and it's around the belly button, not your stomach. So acid reflux is going to be pains more so where the rib cage splits. It is really um, in Western, we'll go Western. Western is going to say, oh my gosh, you have way too much hydrochloric acid. And I would love to pull the stats on how many proton pump inhibitors, so that's an acid blocker, PPIs we call them, that were prescribed last year. I would love
now
to
I
know
want to
that.
Google it.
Okay, so Google that. Let's see if we
Let me
can
see if I
even
can
get
find
it.
it.
It might be too early, but
I know.
So what happens is that is the only method in Western medicine that I've come across. If you have something different, we'll love to hear it. So what this PPI, this proton pump inhibitor, is going to do is really it's going to suppress or turn off our stomach acid, which is our hydrochloric acid. We don't really love that in holistic because what that does is it weakens digestion, and we need hydrochloric acid along with pepsin to break down our macronutrients, specifically protein. So if you have constipation, if you have bloating, if you have just that feeling of, I don't want to eat, or when you eat, say even animal protein, we've had this many times, and people go, oh, it disgusts me. I feel full and I don't feel good and I feel acidy when I eat protein. I'm like, let's talk about that stomach acid.
I got it.
Oh, did you? Okay, hold on.
My journalism skills coming into play here.
Okay.
Journalism degree.
So when we're creating an influx of acid and doing it right, please just don't do this by yourself. Oh, I'm just going to go buy a bottle of hydrochloric acid. No, you're not. No, you're not. So what's going to happen is when that represses, it builds up because we have a mucus lining, and Western medicine goes, oh my gosh, it's suppressing the mucus lining, and too much hydrochloric acid is going to create an ulcer. So we're going to repress your stomach acid, where we're going to look at it through a different set of core values and checklists and all of these other things. Because if we don't have enough hydrochloric acid, you better believe we have a breeding ground for opportunistic pathogens. And hello, you're going to get things like SIBO. Okay.
Ready for your stat?
I am. Go.
Okay. So I got two stats here. So there is a
I gotta breathe
study.
through my nose.
There is a study done in 2020 and 2023, proton pump inhibitor use, systemic review of global trends and practices. The results showed that the search identified data from 28 million PPI users in 23 countries from 65 articles. This review indicated that nearly 1/4 of adults use a PPI. So 25% of adults worldwide. This is a stat based on the US. So this is from uspharmacist.com under the gastroenterology, and it has two PharmaD candidates from the University of Wyoming and a PharmaD already. This stat shows an estimated 113 million PPI prescriptions are filed globally every year.
Speaking of acid reflux, it's happening right about now.
Chris's acid reflux is kicking in. It only happens when she gets angry. Chris,
Here's
we said
the
we weren't
thing.
going to use bad language today. We promised.
Piss is not a bad word.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
Please don't.
I don't
want
think
more
it
DMs.
is it?
I don't know. I don't want more DMs.
Okay, just send them to me. Okay, so here's the thing. In the United States, it's not like really Canada. In the United States, doctors get to disclose their prescriptions, what they prescribe. So if a doctor doesn't want to elect to that, they don't have to. So these stats, I'm going to probably go, and they're probably higher, Katie.
You're going to say higher?
However, it's irritating. Can I say AF? I can say AF.
Let's do it. Let's risk it today. I think today's the day to use AF.
So let me talk about what we rather do in prevention. We want to take that client, love the heck out of their digestion system. We want to up-regulate stomach acid production. This is going to, in fact, stop the acid reflux, and we're going to address overgrowth. And what happens in the stomach for overgrowth? H. pylori, SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And those are going to get you a big wampum diagnosis of GERD. You know what that says? I don't know what to do. Here, take this. So please, how long do I have to take this for? What's the goal of coming off of it? How do we know if it's working? Because I'm going to tell you, you're going to stop taking that PBI because you're going to be self-reliant on it. And you're going to have the system, like the body systems, revolt it, have to do it by itself because in Western, it's just cold turkey everything. And you're going to get everything come flooding back. And then what are you going to do? You're going to run back on the PPI. I have a client who is 8 who is prescribed a PPI. I'm going to leave that there because I can't even talk about it.
You said 8 years old.
8 years old.
Has a PPI.
Yeah, can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it. Yeah, that's infuriating. So, okay. So we have a list. We're still going to go through chronic PMS, thyroid, chronic pain, mood, and libido. And Chris, I love the way you organize these because we can flip-flop back and forth because obviously I need to do chronic PMS, chronic
I
pain,
am not taking that
and
one.
libido. And you're going to be doing thyroid and mood. So I think you did this really well. Okay. So I'm going to do chronic PMS because again, this is something that irritates the heck out of me. Because again, I dealt with horrible PMS symptoms. I dealt with, painful periods. I dealt with the bloat. Even after my my pregnancy with Frankie, I struggled horrendously with PMDD. And if you never had PMDD, I would never wish it on my worst enemy because it is so absolutely horrendous. So when we're looking at chronic PMS, we know premenstrual syndrome. This is a whole slew of different symptoms you can be experiencing: mood, bloat, low libido, fatigue, headaches, like psychological, physical, whatever it may be. We know the PMS symptoms. And whenever we go to our doctor, what's the number one thing that we're met with when we're dealing with PMS? The birth control pill. If you want to hear my rant on the birth control pill, go back to season 1, buckle in, probably take some CBD because it's an intense one.
Don't tell them to take CBD.
I'm just saying from my own personal.
Did you see me start to sweat there? Oh my gosh, she's kidding.
I'm kidding, everybody. I'm kidding. No, I live in Canada and I do have a prescription for medical CBD for my chronic pain. So that's why I said it. Okay, so when they go to the doctor, the first thing we're like, oh my gosh, I have PMS, I have painful periods, I have this, I have that. You're going to be met with, oh, just take the birth control pill. Just take the birth control pill. That's going to balance your hormones. Here's the thing, everybody. Birth control pill does not balance your hormones. One more time for the people in the back. The birth control pill does not balance your hormones. It simply masks the symptoms you're experiencing and not only contributes to existing hormonal imbalances, but can actually create new ones. So if you're going there and you're like, oh, I have these PMS symptoms, here, take the pill. Guess what? It's doing nothing to fix what's actually going on in your body. It's just putting a Band-Aid on, masking the symptoms so you don't experience them. Because really the birth control pill is synthetic hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we take a natural health perspective and a preventative approach, we want to be looking at blood labs to assess the mineral levels involved with your hormone production. We want to be looking at zinc and copper. We want to be investigating gut infections that could be impacting your estrogen recycling. Because remember, your gut is a home to a unique subset of microbes called your estrobolome, where it is responsible for manufacturing, metabolizing your estrogen. So if your gut health is off, your estrogen, there's going to be issues with your estrogen. Maybe you're dealing with an estrogen dominance that can be causing a whole slew of period problems. Then you just take the birth control pill and that's further leading to an increase in estrogen dominance. So from a natural health perspective, let's be looking in on the functioning of your phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. So this is going to be, how well is your liver working? We want to be looking at how well are you pooping? Because remember, your colon excretes hormones like estrogen. So if you're not having daily consistent bowel movements, 1 to 2 everyday smooth, long snake-like movements with no straining, if those aren't happening, you're not eliminating your estrogen properly. So this is going to be increasing your estrogen, increasing PMS symptoms. So that's why the first thing we work on with clients is, how is your poop? How is your poop? And we also can be looking at hormone tests like a Dutch test. I run a Dutch test on myself at least once a year because I want to be seeing a picture of my hormones, what's happening, especially with women as we go from all of these different chapters in our life where we get our periods, then we go into our fertility years. Maybe you're having babies, maybe you've had pregnancy losses, maybe you're dealing with infertility, then you're going into perimenopause. Like we have so many different chapters of our lives that being able to get a solid picture on your hormones year to year is so important. Because when you're looking at a Dutch test, and I like to look at a Dutch test in combination with the blood labs, because while blood labs shouldn't be your only way to be looking at your levels, they together they form a really great picture. So a Dutch test is a comprehensive hormone test that is urine based, and aside from that, we can also be looking at nutrition in a therapeutic way to really build up your body to support your hormone synthesis. And remember, your hormones love fats. Love fats. They need healthy fats for production. So making sure you're getting, so does your heart. So getting those healthy fats like the avocado, the coconut oil, the nuts and seeds in moderation, your sustainable fish with those omega-3s. These are going to be really, really powerful. Your avocados for helping with your hormone production. And really, we often see hormonal imbalances in our practice. We can be seeing implications with low thyroid function, with the poor detoxification, like I talked about, because if your liver is also struggling, it's not able to filter your hormones properly. So that's part of that, your phases of detoxification. The chronic gut infections need to be addressed. So if you're dealing with a candida, you're dealing with a SIBO, these are things we're going to be wanting to look back at. And we've done episodes on SIBO and candida. So again, go and check out previous episodes. And if you're like, Katie, how do I search? Head to our website, katiestewartwellness.com, click on the podcast tab, and you'll be able to go to our full library and search by keywords. And we also see low nutrient diets. So if you are chronically malnourished, you're not eating enough in a day. This could be a rhetorical question, but how many people here don't eat enough in a day? They skip their meals in favor of coffee. They're running out the door. Like it happens to me too. Let me tell you.
Let's raise our hand.
I'm going to raise my hand today because I
guilty.
actually didn't eat breakfast before this podcast and I'm starving right now. So if we're dealing with a low nutrient diet, you better believe this is going to be impacting our progesterone and estrogen levels as well.
Yep.
Did I scare anybody, Chris? Do you think that was okay? I didn't scare anybody?
I like it.
Okay. So that is it. Chris, you go into thyroid because Chris has like a core specialty in thyroid.
So thyroid. Let's be clear. There's a difference between hypothyroid, hyper, and then an antibody. Antibody means that we now have an autoimmune disease. So in Western medicine, here, take your thyroid supplement, right? Levothyroxine, Synthroid, Desiccate, whatever compound. I had to fight so hard to get a desiccated or a compound. I got kicked out of an office.
I'm not surprised that you got kicked out of a doctor's office. Like not
that
even
was
a little
like
bit.
That was even pre like Chris knowing a ton, because I've been dealing with this for eons.
Well, if you can't tell, Chris is a bit of a feisty personality on her. She's like, what are you like?
Not even true.
Are you like 4'6"?
5'2".
I think
you said I'm not allowed to swear. Things like that promote swearing.
I feel like 5'2" is a stretch, but Chris is this tiny little
I feel like you
human.
Wear 7-inch heels every time I see you.
I don't. They were 2-inch blocked heels last time we were hanging out. Anyways, okay. Chris, I love that Chris is such a tiny little human, but has the feistiest little like firecracker personality.
Because I'm a Libra and you cannot alter my scales. When people try and alter my scales, it makes me imbalanced, and Libras try and achieve balance, right?
I'm a Scorpio, so
yeah,
that's enough said. I am a Scorpio. Did you just say I'm a jerk?
Yeah, jerk. I totally said it right out loud.
Yeah, she did. She said the inside thing outside.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take that thyroid without addressing diet and lifestyle. So we need to understand why we became hypo or hyperthyroid first. Do you know if you're hypothyroid, they're going to send you for an iodine test and they're going to put you in an MRI. They're going to blow your thyroid completely out. And then they're going to say, oh my gosh, now look, we can control it. You're not going to get cancer because now you're hypothyroid the rest of, your time and you have to take a pharmaceutical. I get fired up over this. Please tell me, when you take a radioactive iodine pill, that you cannot be in the vicinity of your family because you are radioactive. Like, just let that sink in for a second. So not only did a gentleman in a hazmat suit come and hand me a radioactive pill with a set of tongs, and I questioned it because that's what I do, balance. I did it. white coat. So I can't go back. I forever and ever, amen, have to take a hormone replacement therapy because I don't even have the mechanisms to do it myself. So long story short is nobody's going to dig into the lifestyle. No, they're going to look for hereditary, not really hereditary. This is a lifestyle factor. It is based on how even your adrenals work. So control your stress. For us, in our world, because I really think we live in our own world, the preventative world, we're going to run an HTMA, a hair trace mineral analysis. We're going to look at calcium and potassium. Calcium slows down the thyroid, potassium speeds up. We're also going to look at what foods you're eating, what whole foods, how can we get nutrient dense foods into your body that, and guess what? Never single source the thyroid. We're going to address the liver. We're going to address that energy that's you don't have. You don't have it. And we are definitely going to go after digestion because the correlation between SIBO and thyroid is super interconnected. It is like the teeth of the zipper of your coat.
And so we just did a SIBO episode like just a few ago.
Yeah. So please
go back.
So you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I have SIBO. Okay. Yeah. But it doesn't mean we have to go SIBO specific, but we can go in other ways. So we're going to use thyroid supplementation if it's needed and only after energy production through dietary and maybe one supplement to help our ATP, help our mitochondria kick over. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to leave that there because I get really irritated that I suck back that pill.
And we're doing a full thyroid episode coming up too. So, all right, now one is chronic pain. Now, I have dealt with chronic pain for 20 years now. It has like and I always
not little. Can you just please go back and say the pain levels you have?
The pain levels are so severe. Like even right now sitting here, my legs are on absolute fire. So I deal with chronic low back pain and chronic nerve pain. The nerve pains in both glutes, both hamstrings. I like to say I have layered pain. So there's the low back pain, then there's the burning nerves pain in the glutes and hamstrings, both sides. And then there is sciatic pain shooting down my legs as well. And then there's also some arthritis in my sacrum. So that is super amazing. So I've been working on this for decades and decades. I'm finally getting like to the bottom of it a little more, working with my functional medicine doctor. But having dealt with chronic pain for this long, the pain is so severe. I always explain it like I feel like I am watching my life from the sidelines. I feel like I'm watching my life pass by me because I can't go and watch my kids at their sports. I can't go and I couldn't take Jackson to the park whenever he wanted when he was younger. I can't, like, I tried to go to a music festival last summer. I spent 90% of the music festival crouched down, sitting in the mud because I was in such severe pain. I sometimes can barely even stand up long enough to make my family dinner, let alone just sit at the table with them. So my poor husband, who is an absolute saint of a human being, has had to take on the majority of the parenting and the cooking and the doing of the things because I physically can't do it.
So when you're talking pain, we can say that you're absolutely qualified.
I am absolutely qualified to talk about this.
Okay, good. I just wanted to go because they're like, sometimes people say, what makes you qualified in this?
I have lived it every single day of my life for 20 years. So when I was younger, my teenage years, I got dismissed. You're too young to have this. Like you're 14, you're 15. How can you be dealing with this? I don't know. I'm coming to you for help. I would right. bring this up and they wouldn't even acknowledge it. They would just brush over it and keep going with something else. And, I would go to doctors or like, there's nothing we can do. You're just going to have to take this medication for the rest of your life that gives you horrendous side effects. And I'm like, how is that an option? So, it's
which would be followed with another med.
Which would be, you're dealing with that. Oh, take this other medication. Oh, now you have that symptom. I did not want to be taking a laundry list of medications that left me dopey. Like my body does not deal well with medications. Like Chris has actually seen me vomiting in a hotel room because I had to take a medication for that severe pain at that point. Like she was literally bringing me garbage cans because I was so ill from this medication. And I was like, I am never doing this again. I had to go away from a weekend and I had thrown my back out. The pain was so severe. Anyways. So the option is medications to manage that pain. And if you're taking these medications for a long period of time, how's that going to be impacting your liver? How's that going to be impacting your hormones? How is that going to be impacting your brain and your nervous system? Like there's so many questions to ask. So instead of, like that Western approach, what I have been doing is I have been getting second opinions left, right, and center. The first doctor I've ever had take me seriously was my functional medicine doctor, Dr. Kostovich out of the Upper Room Clinic in Toronto. Bless her soul. Because when I came in, she actually listened. She actually dug into it, and she has not stopped until she's like, this is what we need to do next. And I'm finally able to get that relief that I've been looking at. So this is where we want to be looking at your liver gut access. Are we dealing with nutrient deficiencies? Really, again, looking at the hair trace mineral, looking at our gut testing, looking at our blood labs, because if you're dealing with gut imbalances, guess what? That can cause chronic pain. Or if you're dealing with, like in my case, I was riddled with underlying viral infections like Epstein-Barr and Coxsackie and VZV and echoviruses that, guess what, can cause pain and look like fibromyalgia. I have been told I've had fibromyalgia dozens of different times, and that is just they give you that fibromyalgia diagnosis when they
I
don't know
don't know.
when they really just don't know what's wrong with you. The amount of times I've had doctors say, we don't know what's wrong with you, you're just going to have to take this medication, and I was not accepting that. So really being able to gain that clarity on the overall toxic burden at play, the underlying viral infections, and come up with a plan to open up your detox pathways, to rebalance your microbiome, to get rid of that inflammation, get rid of that toxicity, and really address those underlying issues that may be at play. Fighting to get that MRI, fighting to get that diagnosis that nobody's willing to give you.
And it's okay to say, what's the refusal? Or what are the options? Like, at what point will you be willing to run that test? Right? Know where you stand. Because if the doctor's like, I'm never going to run that test for you, second opinion, right? Be your own advocate for sure.
Mm-hmm. And this is for me, like why, you've probably heard me mention CBD, like I already did. For me, like CBD has actually given me some of my life back. It hasn't taken all of the pain away, but it's, taken the edge off where I'm not in borderline tears for the entire day. So luckily here in Canada, you're able to get a prescription for cannabis, whether it's oil, whether it's ingested, whatever it may be. That was the first thing that has ever given me any type of relief in my life that a pharmaceutical couldn't even touch. So that's why I'm such a proponent of being able to find those different options and keeping to dig in that respect. And for me, another thing that really massively helped my chronic pain has been going for regenerative medicine injections like PRP. Which stands for platelet-rich plasma, where they took, a certain amount of blood out of me. They put it into the centrifuge machine to separate the platelets, the platelet-rich plasma, and then they injected it in 20 different locations in my back, in my spine, and my glutes, and my legs. And I could actually feel that inflammation and feel that pain coming down. Sorry, I could go on for hours, so I'll let you go into mood.
No. Actually, I want you to take this because I truly feel that this correlates with the PMDD, the chronic pain, the fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Because what impairs, like when you're going through this,
Mm-hmm.
you can eat to balance your blood sugar, and you can take CBD to mitigate the excruciating pain, the fire-like things.
Mm-hmm.
But mood, right?
Oh yeah.
Like this is your jam. I think this kind of rolls in. So if you can hop into this
Of course I can. And I should also touch on chronic fatigue, because dealing with the Epstein-Barr, I was also dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome. And again, doctors were like, "Oh, no, that you're a mom." That's how many times have you heard that? "Oh, it's just part of being a woman. Oh, it's just part of being a mom. Oh, it's just part of getting older. Oh, it's just part of working. Oh, it's just part of hard no, thank you."
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're dealing with chronic fatigue where you literally can't even function in the day, you have to drag yourself out of bed, you're constantly tired all day in and day out, you're just going to get met with that. Or if you're dealing with mood imbalances, like for me, like I said, I after my pregnancy with Frankie, I developed PMDD, and it was so horrendous. And had I just gone to my doctor, they would have said, "Oh, you need to take the birth control pill. That's all you need to do. Just take the birth control pill." And I was like, that's not an option for me because I understand how the birth control pill impacts my body. That wasn't an option that I wanted to take. This was my personal decision. Instead, I went and I looked at my gut imbalances. I went and I repaired any imbalances that I have. I looked at my nutrient imbalances because again, like, for me, I've had 4 pregnancies. 2 of them resulted in late losses. So you better believe that my poor body has been on a roller coaster ride of hormones and nutrients, and just being pregnant alone, that can leave you nutrient depleted. Looking at your gut lining, are you able to effectively break down and absorb the things that you're eating? Because gut infections can actually be altering your serotonin production and creating chronic inflammation. We need to be looking at our like I said, I ran a Dutch test on myself and I said, oh, well, look at these big imbalances here. This is what's going on. This is what needs to be fixed. I'm going to be doing that through, I know the different hormone loving foods. You can find that blog on our website, specific supplements that were related to my hormonal imbalances in order to repair that. Then once we're looking at the areas of stress and imbalances, this is where you can then be working to support them as needed. Chris, is there anything that you wanted to add to? I guess I kind of went on PMDD, but I'll let you handle mood in general.
Just mood is really, from our perspective, an imbalance in neurotransmitters, right? So whether it's working on the GABA, the serotonin, the dopamine, whatever it is, neurotransmitters, fat-based, they are, serotonin, 90% of the gut, dopamine, 50. However, when we go into Western, it's like, here, take this antidepressant. Here, take this, because they're trying to stop or, alter the serotonin levels, as an example. We want stability, but you nailed it. Like, it's gut production.
Gut dysbiosis.
It's zinc and copper imbalances. Does your body even have those 2 minerals to help metabolize hormones? And neurotransmitters act like hormones, okay? Are we over or under methylation? The binders. We could have, oh my gosh, you know what?
She's excited.
Yeah, because this is a big connector. When somebody goes in with low mood, I want to ask you, everybody listening, did they go and check your B12, B6, magnesium, folate, zinc, tyrosine ahead of time? And then when they throw you on meds, are they continually checking those levels? Because it depletes them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have B6 and B12 and folate, you can't methylate. So you have a perpetuated issue. Your body doesn't have the binders. You're probably going to have hair loss. You're going to be lethargic. You zinc, you're going to, acne. It's not just that, but think about wound healing, taste, balancing off testosterone, because ladies, we do need a little testosterone, right? Magnesium, the cofactor to calm your body down and break down your macronutrients to build up your B6 so you can even methylate. All of these things. I am obviously very excited about this, so I'm just going to chill now.
Well, I do want to add a disclaimer.
I catch myself.
I do want to add a disclaimer when we're talking about mood and medications like SSRIs and those things, because there is no shame. There is no shame in taking medications here. Mm-hmm. We are solely giving you information so that you can look at whether you want, like, maybe you don't want to be taking medications and you want to see if there's alternative. Maybe you still want to take your meds, but you want to see, is there anything else I can do to be supporting my body and supporting my mood and be supporting my gut while I'm taking these? Like, I have, family and friends that take, medications for their anxiety and for their depression. So I would never want to shame somebody for taking that, because there is absolutely instances where this is life-saving. Mm-hmm. Just acknowledge.
But we always want to look at, what's the plan to get off?
Is there a plan in place to get off? Are you working? Right. Again, this is where you could be working with your naturopathic doctor, your functional medicine doctor, to be able to help you take the route that you want to take for your health. And if you're like, no, I'm staying on my medications. Okay, great. What can we do to support your body? Because if we're taking, say, SSRIs that have a really big impact on your gut health, we need to be making sure we're supporting our microbiome. We're supporting that gut lining. We're eating lots of gut-loving foods. We are eating foods that, love up our neurotransmitters. Like, having that plan in place for whatever you decide for your own personal health. Because remember, your health is not my decision. It's not Chris's decision. It's not your family member's decision. What you do for your health is your own decision. And
Yeah.
we are always here to give you, you know, so
The
you have
support,
both
the
sides of the
tools.
story. So
Yeah.
you have the right education and all of the knowledge in place to make the best decision for you.
And we will never ask you to come off meds.
Oh God, no.
Like, that's not our plan. We're here to
And
give
it's
you,
not our
again, the
scope of
information.
practice.
Gosh, no.
It's not our scope of
No.
practice. We have clients that come in taking medications and we work to support them. And, we'll work with their doctors and their medical practitioners on should they want to come off of it. Their doctor sets that plan in place and we support them with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Should we talk a little bit about libido?
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about libido because we're getting up to the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
And I can
Ready?
see that you have lots of notes that you still want to cover. So go.
Jeez.
Is
this not a hot topic inside the Clear Skin Solution?
Chris and I usually just put literally a couple point forms of 5 things we want to talk on.
I kept writing.
And when I was doing the stats, I looked through, I was like, Chris, you've written 18 pages here on what we need to cover for these dismissals. So I'll let you handle this one.
Well, it's because, it doesn't mean I use all of them, but it helps me kind of trigger it out. So when it comes to libido, we really want to look at, in Western medicine, we'll go there first. Do you know that if a lady goes to the doctor and perpetually has that libido, they may run some blood labs and stuff like that. Hopefully they're going to be testing the thyroid and, some other cofactors, some sex hormones, FSH, LA, these types of things, pineal gland, and all of those connectors. However, usually there is a diagnosis. And I don't know if I've never actually heard a client use this diagnosis, but it's called hypoactive sexual desire disorder. So HSDD, that's how I remember it. And then they're giving sexual enhancers. So many ladies don't even know that there are sexual enhancers. So this is cute, Katie. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Sexual enhancer. You have to take it 45 minutes before you're ready to get your sexy on. So if I'm like, hey,
gotta
Steve,
plan it out.
What time you coming home? And then
what happens if what
happens if I take this and all of a sudden one of the little germ carriers come in and now they're home and I'm downstairs.
That's where you need to go back to the libido episode we did on Valentine's Day this year to get some tips.
Right? Who wants to be all hot and heavy and no. Anyways, so that end, if it even works, right? Because we know we need the zinc and the copper. We know we need the drug metabolites in the body in order to work. Or you know what? What about birth control? I've heard that. I didn't have great sex drive. I was given birth control. Please, somebody has to explain that correlation to me because in my head it doesn't work. Here's the difference, and this is what's going to draw me into the holistic practices, a little more traditional Chinese medicine. I'm going to turn this a bit. So Western medicine isolates the kidneys as their own organ. So treatments, say for skin issues, right? They're going to be tainted with off-label things to repress hormones. So you're in with skin issue and they feel that there is elevated testosterone, or you have skin issues and you're putting on, say, spironolactone. That directly depletes or blocks the androgen production. And we need some testosterone. And, what's going to happen? Now, spironolactone is a diuretic. So it affects the kidneys and the kidneys affect the filtering of the blood. And we need clean blood not to have blemishes. Okay. So see, I think
you've said that a few times. You've said that in a few podcasts now. Clean blood.
Clean blood. You got to get that cheap. Okay. So here, let me break that down then. Okay. So this is where I love traditional Chinese medicine. So when our when our bedroom romance is not happening, that sexual desire is depleted. We look further into poor circulation. Hello, heart channel. What is happening? Because I guarantee you, and the reason why mood and energy were also, fatigue were interjected into today is because they're correlated. We need mitochondria. We need energy to do our things, to feel motivated, to feel better. And we also want to look at the kidney, the blood, and the lung deficiencies. So that's why we use your pictures. We see where the markers are, do that face mapping. So pop quiz.
Oh, I wasn't ready for a pop quiz. Chris, I'm hungry. I can't do a pop quiz.
Okay, so I have a pop quiz.
Okay, let's do it.
When we look at the kidneys, the blood, and lung deficiency.
Correct. Yep.
Which system is of highest priority when we're chatting libido?
I'm going to go with A, kidneys.
Bing, bada, bing, bing, bing. 2 gold stars for Katie.
Yay. You know, I got my gold star chart here in my office.
I know, you take them from Paige and I. Okay, so fun facts. Kidneys are not isolated. They are also highly connected to sexual organs and adrenal glands. So no wonder when you're stressed to the max, dealing with higher than normal oxidative compounds. And we talked about that in the, which episode was it? It was the inflammatory and oxidative stress podcast, right? Mm-hmm. That's when sex becomes a chore. It's no different than folding clothes and doing dishes and picking the kids up from dance. Equal. And we don't understand it because we're like, oh, we want to have sex, but we don't want to have sex, right? So what we need to do, and this is totally different, like good luck finding this anywhere else. We need to nourish the brain. Deliver 20% of oxygen and blood in the body. We need to get that up to the brain. Those require, oh, here's something. If you're a deep thinker, we might know a couple of those. Overanalyzers, those type of people.
Chris, stop attacking me.
No, I am, for sure. I'm not even attacking you. We all are. Actually, you know what? Yeah, me and you, we have a lot of synergy. Anyways, long story short. So what happens is if we have that in our lifestyle where we're constantly reforming and refining and everything, we're going to need more nourishment to the brain. Mm-hmm. And we need blood chi. So that really means flow. So how does it bring in? Kidneys need to get brain marrow. And together, we're going to create the body's desire to put down the laundry, get your va-va-va-voom going. And we also have to love and tonify the liver meridian as it governs all chi blood. So I know this is next level, but I want to say this is what you're getting. And this is what we're looking at in behind the scenes. Please go ahead.
I was going to say, we actually did an entire episode on libido. This year it was episode 7. We released it on Valentine's Day. So go back a couple episodes and we did an entire one on just libido alone.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to pull out things that don't have that because, repeating, whatever. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not one system, but we don't isolate the systems. We don't go and look at the adrenals. We don't just go look at the kidneys. We don't just, have you ever gone to the doctor and said, oh my gosh, I have no sex or desire? And they're like, okay, you know what? We need to get more oxygen to the brain.
Never once is, oh, why don't you try this pill? Oh, why don't you try this antidepressant? Oh, why don't you try that? So
yes. So anyways, that's what I want to say. So that this is what we do. This is what we step back. This is what we look at, because if we can't get circulation going, and we can't get blood flowing, and we can't get the kidneys filtering, those kidneys, if they can't filter, our blood's going to be dirty. It's going to affect our immune system. It's going to create oxidative stress. And then boom, we're down that same road.
I think the name of your book needs to be Dirty Blood.
Oh,
I know. Don't steal that, anybody. Chris's book name will be Dirty Blood.
Don't steal that. I like
All right,
it.
We got to wrap this up because we're already on an hour. We got to send everybody on their way. We're going to wrap it up. All right, you guys. So just kind of do a summary. Remember, you are your own best health advocate. You always need to feel seen and heard, and empower yourself through education. So that way, when you go to face your medical professional, you can go armed with the knowledge on how to best get the results that you need, and not just be stuck being dismissed and sent to the doctor's office with either a prescription or nothing at all. Because how you feel matters, and you don't need to live this way for the rest of your life. So I hope today we empowered you with some education so that you can feel like you have knowledge in place to better your own life and feel better. All right, that's it for this episode here of the Clear Skin Chronicles. Coming up next week, our lovely holistic esthetician, Ashley, is back, and she is talking the inside scoop on medicated topicals for acne. We'll chat then. Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.